Hello, I'm Sora Luxon, and this is Tarot card 3 of Swords, our Lord of Sorrow, aka the Heartache or Ultimatum card, possibly the least subtle and most symbolically obvious card in the entirety of the deck. The threes within the suits, within the deacons of the Divine Tarot, shows us a predominant symbol. You'll see that on each three. And that symbol is the focal point of that card. An action being undergone or taken, whether for better or worse, as having to do with the center symbol displayed on the specific card. And here, on the Three of Swords, of course, it is that bright red heart. Bina is the realization of action. And here with Saturn in Libra, from the 10th to 20th degree, the rose red heart clearly at the center of the image is being penetrated, one could say devastated, by the junction of the three brightly glowing, almost angelically radiant blades. Words like strife, discord, misery, and unhappiness, interruption, great grief, and deceit, all of those belong to the Lord of Sorrow here in the Three of Swords, along with the instigation of arguments and the ache of separation, that very dull, deep pain, or painful disruptions, or dissipations, dissolutions of bonds, and yes, breakups, divorce, and the romantic sphere of Aquarian's life. Bina Avav sometimes takes joy in hurtful pleasures. The cruelty, for instance, of a lover's betrayal, who then finds humor in the pain such action has caused the betrayed. Look to the heavy storm clouds and devastatingly depressing grays that set the background for this meditative scene. The sky itself is weeping. There is some form of very real infidelity being felt here. Suffering at work due to sabotage, that sort of an infidelity, that's a possibility, as is sudden unpleasant information about people in our life, deals, partnerships, or projects that are now being undermined and destroyed. These relationships coming under the influence of destruction because of unpleasantness. Usually with the Three of Swords, an ultimatum of some kind is either impending or occurring. Remember, I called it that ultimatum card. There's a very painful choice here. An incredible, painful decision must be made because of the painful situation the querent is in. Very often, viciousness is being leveled at the individual who draws this card. Backstabbing, infighting, having those they trust most either cheat, lie, or be recklessly callous in matters of the heart towards them. And hurts that great, pain that heavy, is going to create its own effects, generate effects of bitterness and vindictiveness and cruelty in response. So not only on the part of the betrayer, but on the part of the betrayed as well. Very often we ourselves are at our meanest when we're suffering this much. This is when we're our most poisonous. Incredibly vitriolic defensiveness can become a modus operandi when a person feels tortured. So it isn't uncommon for huge, usually very hateful fighting or disputes, or if it's internalized to feel that sort of venom, to occur as both parties behave in this very intensely negatively polarized fashion. Hiding from our feelings, bottling them up, withholding them, never ends well. So the authentic pain that is in this card needs to be seen. What to do with the Three of Swords upright? Feel that pain. It needs to be felt and expressed honestly. Part of our beautiful experience on this plane is sorrow, is suffering, is pain. Sorrow, though incredibly unpleasant, is one method by which we evolve. It happens to all of us at some point. It's part of our experience here. And attempting to avoid the reality of it can and will cost a host of less than desirable outcomes in our lives, in our personalities, and in our interactions. with others and with the great opportunity that is manifested existence. You're hurting, so hurt. Feel your pain. It's genuine and it deserves your attention. Learning to feel sorrow, to face hurt bravely, finding how to acknowledge it in a healthy way, how to experience it and express it, so that we are aware of it is part of maturing within the spiritual alchemical process. You aren't going to outrun this. No one outruns the Three of Swords, and sometimes the only way out is in. So go in. Look to your authentic grief, your misery, your valid confusions, and respect them as you would any other influence upon your psyche and spirit. As an offering. They're an opportunity, a manifestation of emotion to learn and grow. Whatever this pain is, you have to admit it. You have to face it. You have to deal with it. And you need to tackle it head on now. You need to feel it. You need to cry. Those skewers within the deepest part of yourself aren't going anywhere until they've had their effect. So let them. Feel your pain so that you can release it. It isn't going to feel good. It isn't supposed to. Heartache, heartbreak isn't supposed to feel good. But if you can't allow yourself to ache, to feel the cut of these blades, they will remain buried within all that soft, vital tissue. And the numbness of dejection and detachment will poison that beautiful red heart. Denying our emotions, pretending that we aren't hurting, that we don't feel the sting of conflict, of betrayal, of loneliness, pretending we can't feel because it hurts too much to feel, because we're afraid to let ourselves feel necessary pain, will leave the heart bitter and blackened and poisoned. So feel your sorrow. The Three of Swords reversed. In the Three of Swords reversed, there's usually a slight lifting or shifting of the painful burdens we bear. A lightening, if you will, of the most painful crosses we're carrying. Often, though, this isn't a great or super positive thing, but more like a compromise, a baseline that we seek out, finding some peace in what we think is a neutral stance with others, or mitigating ourselves more than normal, our behaviors, to lessen the room for conflicts or pain to flare up around us. Sort of a calm, drizzly, gray, depressed day. Not bright and shiny, but calm in its own right, and at least it isn't a full-blown storm, that full-blown, painful, raging hurricane of sorrow, that type of thing. This is where we seek out ways to delay the worst or put off solving an issue because we believe it's easier to be a little unhappy, a little gloomy, than it is to deal with the ickiness and free ourselves of it totally. But look, those swords are ready to fall out of our heart. So now's a great time to allow that to happen, to actually deal with it, rather than just being mildly depressed all the time. Being stuck in a stasis pattern of the humdrums, sort of always sad, always a little bit Eeyore-esque dejection or complaint, that isn't your best life. Sometimes breaking a bond, breaking up with someone, dropping a business partner, getting a divorce is what needs to happen for everyone's good moving forward, even if that possibility frightens us, even if it scares us, terrifies us. It might be scary. But if the other option is to just be quietly miserable forever, that really ought to be what frightens us more. Sometimes separation is what is meant to happen, even though it seems terrifying in the short term or from our immediate perspective. Imagine how much better things will be once you're finally out from under that constant gray day, that constant drizzle. being used to it, being complacent isn't your best option. It's okay to free yourself of that and go stand in the sun again. So what to do with the Three of Swords reversed? Know that it's okay to let those blades fall out, to let gravity go ahead and pull that pain away. You can let go of your grief. You don't need it as much as you think you do. And also, if you have been seeking out what you think is a balance, a common humdrum okayness, but not a welcome awesomeness or a welcome awesome outcome in your relationships, your partners, your projects, your communications with others. Realize that just masking stuff over, just painting over it to keep the peace, doesn't always serve you or anyone else best. Putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound isn't going to last very long, and it's never actually going to deal with the very real harm being suffered. Pretending to forgive and forget too soon, inauthentically, prematurely, that isn't going to ever heal the larger hurt. Look at the relationships you have with others, whether it's a problem in love, in the workplace, with family or friends, and acknowledge the authenticity of the pain that's there, that's being created within, even if it seems minor. Don't cover it up. Denial of what's going on isn't going to work for you anymore. Face it so you can be fully free of it. Until next time.